It's.
I already went live, so I don't need to.
You don't need.
Yeah. I know. Hugs on their morning checklist just reminds them to slow down, give us a hug, what's important, and we get to connect with them too.
It's the best.
A little bit in the morning. Okay. Check. Why isn't that on? Check.
You're probably not plugged in. Could you step on it more?
You don't have to do this.
I have to.
I know you do, I guess. I guess you do?
Okay.
It's lame. Woo. Alright.
Check.
What's up, KM? Kenan Coffee.
You call him KM?
KM.
Okay, are you ready?
KM. My mic's kind of loud, but that's alright.
What are you? You are...
Okay.
3.
Check. I love you dearly. Please watch how many times you say It's hard to listen to on the podcast, so just watch that, please.
Do you want a stool?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I worked out my biceps this morning.
You can hold it. Are we ready? Yeah.
I believe so. All right. You guys get your questions in. Hey, Josh, what's up, buddy? Are we going?
Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I am your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist. And thank you for joining us for today, day 17 of 100 days of Q&A with AOM.
And today we're talking about relationship doubts and mother-in-law issues, among other things. What do we say every morning? If you're new here, welcome. We have a podcast about marriage stuff because ours was really, really challenging. Go check out our season 1 episodes and all of those things and learn from it. It's awesome.
That's right. And today's episode is brought to you by audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. Go there and get your free audiobook. We are listening. We're almost wrapped up with Mel Robbins' the 5-second rule. It is really good. It's one of the best help books that I've read in a really long time. So go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get your free audiobook. And every single morning we do 4 things. We start with a prayer, we share a past gratitude, and now we read a review of the day, and then also we dive into your questions and answers. And we're also live on Facebook and Instagram, so join us there every single morning.
Yep.
Most mornings, 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, all right, do you want to pray this morning?
Sure.
All right.
Thank you, God, for all of our blessings. I pray that we use the blessings you give us to bring good things into this world and to bring happiness and love. In your name we pray. Amen. What do you do? I was really distracting. Sorry.
And I am thankful that you put up a light for me in the morning right next to our kitchen table so I can wake up early and do my gratitude journal. I said, we need a light, and next thing I know, there's a light there. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for getting my folding bike yesterday. I'm really excited about it. It's really cute.
Good. I think I'm going to try to get a bike today, and then we can ride this evening. Okay, diving in, straight ahead. Excellent. 5 stars from Thomas Malone. Post Malone. The authenticity that is demonstrated in this podcast gives you a true sense of the journey that both Melanie and Seth have experienced. Without their difficulties, it almost feels like this podcast wouldn't even exist. And for that, we should be grateful. Great work.
Thank you so much.
Yes, that is a great point. You know what? We grow in the hard stuff. And I am thankful, I've said it before, and I'm thankful that I got punched in the face by my own wife. Because if I hadn't, then probably this podcast might not be here.
For sure.
You know? So we turned our mess into our message.
So thank you for the review. If you like what we're doing, please rate and review the podcast as well. It's very helpful, and we'll read it on the show.
All right, go for the question.
Question number 1. It says, I'm in a relationship with a guy who turns out is totally different than who I thought he was when we decided to start our relationship. There is doubt in my mind and heart, which means I really don't trust him. He says he finds it easy to go along with stuff because it's easier, even when it means he's being dishonest. I find it really hard to properly trust people anyway, and so his admission to dishonesty really ticked me off. I feel so hurt because not only have I spent the last 6 months finding out he's not who I thought he was, but now I realize I'm in a relationship with a guy who's desperately afraid that I'll break up with him. I feel totally trapped. It says I have a hard time trusting people anyway, but I also didn't dream of growing up and spending my life with a guy I don't like, you know? It must also be horrible for him to be in a relationship with someone who doesn't want to be. What do I do? Or what have I done wrong? Am I thinking of this wrong?
Okay. 2 words. 3 words. 2 words. Break up.
What was the 3 words?
I think it's a simple decision. If you don't want to be with him and he's scared to death that you're going to leave him and you don't want to be with him anyway, I think it's time to break up. You're not married. You're only 6 months in. There's not much to lose here. And, a happy relationship is what you're going to lose if you stay with him. If I'm reading this correctly. You guys aren't married. You're not engaged. You're just dating. So if you're this unhappy right now, then if things don't turn around, then I think just break up with him.
This will only compound as if you continue to stay together. And I think I wrote back personally to this email as well. But one of the thoughts that I had was you can set this person up for your breakup going well for them as much as you can, but there will always be people who manipulate, like, if you leave me, I'll just die. Mm-hmm. That's a type of person. Mm-hmm. That is not just this person. That is a human that exists in the world, like a type of people who are manipulative and lie to get what they want. And you do not want that. You don't want that if you want to have children. You don't want that to be your kid's father. You don't want to have this be compounded 12 years into the future and then you really hate your life.
Right. If you want to start out on a much better foot than this, if you're going to get engaged, if you're going to get married, you want both feet running.
You want trust.
Your feet are tied here and they're dipped in cement, I think. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not trying to be rude. I don't know the whole situation, but just based on what you wrote, I would say definitely 100% break up with him.
Yeah, if you have any sort of feelings of distrust, I mean, feel free to go to a counselor, a therapist with this person if you like deep down love them and want to fix it, but it doesn't sound like you do. And I would say if you really feel like you can't trust them, do not continue to pursue this relationship. It will not go well. You will not be happy. You will not be fulfilled.
The sooner the better.
Thank you for writing in, though.
If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to ask. Okay, we're going to take a question from Instagram, it looks like. You want to read it?
It says, what do you do when you're married and the person you married isn't who you thought they were? Or you have changed from the person you were when you got married? That's an excellent question because we all change all the time, and we should. So the thing that I would... that's a big question with lots of things I want to say. Mm-hmm. We do change constantly, and we should. It's evolution. It's like personal evolving. That's what humans all do. And the thing that is unfortunate about the way we learn about marriage and relationships is that often people think they're static. They're like a rock. Dr. Dan Siegel talks about this in, what's the episode? The identity episode. Episode 9 of season 1?
I don't know.
I think it's episode 9. And Dr. Dan Siegel talks about how people think of themselves like a fixed thing, like a rock, a noun. I am this. When really we should be thinking of ourselves as flexible and growing and changing and adapting, because we are and we do. So our experiences shape who we are. So if, let's say, Seth and I have gone through a miscarriage, we have. That changes who I am. That changes how I view things, how I feel about things, all sorts of different things. It changes me. Mm-hmm. So to not allow that change to take place in myself and my partner or my partner is a shame. It is like stunting the growth of somebody else. Mm-hmm. Change does not always have to be bad. If you're saying like, oh, I didn't think my partner was who they are and now they like watch porn all the time and lie to me, that's a totally different story. Right. That's not an evolution.
That's a devolution.
I was going to say that too.
Right? Yeah. I don't even know if that's a word. However, I would not want to be the person that I was 6 months ago. Or maybe not, I don't know.
About 6 years ago.
Well, 6 years ago, definitely. Even 1 year ago. I like who I am now, right? And that's because we have a growth mindset, and change is not something to be scared of. Like Melanie said, if I'm changing and I like drink all the time and I'm just like ignoring the kids, then that's a negative change. But if I'm changing, asking questions, new questions about spirituality, about health, about job, about growth mindset, about how can I be different than I was, and I'm moving forward. Tony Robbins talks about if we're not growing, we're dying. If we're not moving forward, we're dying. And I really believe that. And so what kind of change are you talking about here? Is it the kind of devolution that Melanie was talking about? Or is it like things are changing, I have new questions? And we get this one a lot about changing our thoughts and hearts on spirituality. Like, oh my goodness, what are they doing? But that is a good thing to question, to grow, to to go against kind of the status quo, what culture says we should be, and to move forward together. And hopefully you guys can move forward together. Luckily, Melanie and I have kind of locked arms and moved forward together in a growth mindset and that kind of change, which is good. I can imagine the difficulty if she wanted to change and I didn't, or vice versa. That would really suck.
There's conversations to be had around it, but I would say, I imagine this, it's like saying, my toddler can't use a fork, but they're trying to use a fork. Ew, that's weird. Forks for eating food? Please use your hands. That's what I know.
Forks for applesauce?
Just eat with your hands, right? So it's like you're trying to stop the actual growth of someone. Again, if this is not that kind of change, if this is like, I spend all of our money and I don't consult you, that is a different type of change. That's therapy needing change. That's the type of change you go to see a counselor for. But people changing and growing and becoming expansive in their thinking and all of that, that's good. That's fine. Just have continual conversations around how do you manage that well? How do you manage that with honor in your relationship, with balance? If someone is wanting to do something and they're doing it out of balance. So I don't know. I just, are you afraid of change might be a good place to start questioning your thoughts about it. But thank you for the question. That's an awesome question.
Awesome question. Okay. I don't know how to word this post except just to be blunt about it. Does anyone have boundary issues with their mother-in-law? My mother-in-law relies heavily on her kids for emotional and financial support. My husband constantly puts his own life on the back burner for her. I want to gently set some boundaries, but it's a point of conflict for the two of us now. We end up putting so much energy towards my husband's family, I'm starting to resent it. Okay. Since Melanie's family listens, I will not comment. No, just kidding. No. So my grandmother, my paternal grandmother,
who was in season 1 of the podcast,
who is awesome. She's 93, and growing up, her boundaries were probably the worst boundaries ever. She would come over.
When you were growing up.
When I was growing up. Yeah. She had a key to the house, and it was all under the guise of helping. Like, how can I help? And it was very collectivist culture kind of thing, and it was a good thing, but it drove me crazy as a kid. She would like rearrange my room and clean my things and all this stuff without asking, right? And I know that was a big issue for my mom, but she never had the voice to express that appropriately, and it caused some tension, right? Now, my family is on the East Coast still, so they're not super involved out here because we're 3,000 miles away, but Melanie's family is, and they have had pretty good boundaries for the most part, I would say, right? And I see a lot of families who don't have good boundaries, so I talk to clients that we talk about these things all the time, and again, I believe that you have to be locked arms with your spouse to talk about this. Like, a wife is not going to, approach the mother-in-law and say, hey, this. That is just not going to work unless you guys are both really differentiated and you both have a level head and you have a good relationship. Otherwise, that will absolutely cause problems. So the best solution to that is husband, talk to your husband or wife or whatever it is. Use the clearing structure. When this happens, this is taking away from our family, and I see it in you, honey, and I know that it's stressing you out, and I know that you have a family obligation towards, your mother or in-laws, and how can we balance that? Okay, like one day a week, then you go help your mom or something, you talk to her, whatever, like put some structure, put some boundaries around it.
Yeah, that's a thing where I think you could create something on the calendar. Like Seth was saying, maybe instead of it, because right now it's random. It's whenever she has a need, your partner fills that need some way, whether that's financial or scheduling or taking them somewhere, whatever that looks like, right? So right now it's just random. There's no pattern to it, unless there is a pattern to it. But you could work it the other way around, where you say, okay, let's make some boundaries, husband and I together, that if your mom calls you 5 times this week, you help her 2 times this week. And I know that sounds mean at first, but if someone is like leeching off of someone else, there needs to be boundaries, and it needs to start somewhere. So I would say you can ask your husband, how many days a week, or how much money a month, or how much time a week sounds reasonable to you as the son.
There's this saying that I think I picked it up in high school, and let me see if I can get it right. So if you're dealing with somebody who has boundaries, or maybe my dad told me this one time, which is really funny. He said, the lack of planning and perceived emergency on your part does not constitute an immediate emergency on my part to help you out.
Oh, I see.
And like, it was like, okay, if your lack of planning and randomness is like, oh, I need help. I'm like, okay, so your problem right now that you created basically because you didn't plan and you didn't think about it does not constitute me having to pick up your mess.
Yeah.
I can help you, sure, but I'm not going to trip out because of your, created crisis right here. So maybe that's what you're talking about, or maybe that's what's going on in your family of origin. I know that I have picked up so many crises like that shouldn't have been mine to pick up, and in turn that stresses me out. Like, just think about it, like work clients and stuff, like in the past, like, oh gosh, I gotta take this call, I gotta go down here, or whatever. And I do not want to do that for our children. I want to teach them, like, you got a plan, guys. And
to bring a solution. Not only do you need to plan, you need to know how. So there's that intervention called If Then. What is it? Isn't that what it? If this, then that, or whatever. It's in Mel Robbins' book, in the workbook for the Take Control of Your Life. But it talks about, not only do you need to have a plan and boundaries and structure set in place, you also need to have a plan if things go wrong. What do you do? And this is something that you can start sort of dropping breadcrumbs out to your mother-in-law about. So maybe it's the same thing every single month. She's short on cash for her rent or whatever. I have no idea what it is. So maybe you say, hey, Mom, I noticed that you go to the casino. Instead of doing that, maybe you could save that $50 in your account, and then you'll have the money to pay your rent.
The casino.
I don't know. I don't know what people do. So just trying to think of ways where you can bring a solution. You can do the if-then scenario type stuff. But let me clarify. You, as the wife, don't do it. Your husband can do it.
Right.
Blood speaks to blood on that one.
That's right. Dave Ramsey talks about a book, and I haven't read it, but I've heard him recommend it a million times, and it's simply called Boundaries. And I don't remember the author, but people call in his show all the time talking about these things. Oh, my mother-in-law, or my dad spends a ton of money.
I've never heard about that one.
You haven't? Yeah, it's called Boundaries. I'm pretty sure, you guys correct me if I'm wrong or shoot us a DM or something, but it's called Boundaries. I don't remember the author, but it talks about all this stuff, how to differentiate yourself, to not have to feel like I have to pick up my family's problems.
I would say, too, as the partner in this situation, make sure that you kindly and clearly, use the clearing structure. If y'all don't know what the clearing structure is, it's on our website, anatomyofmarriage.com, and it's just a tool to help slow your brain down so you don't get into fight, flight, freeze, yell in people's face mode. And you can use the clearing structure to talk through these things, because I think it's really important that you, as the wife, the one who is dealing with the in-laws, feel heard. You feel like your ideas were truly taken into account, your feelings were taken into account. Because even if your husband comes up with some strategy to deal with it and you feel like you weren't listened to, you're still going to feel like I wasn't listened to. So there's something about that I think is really important, to feel validated in it. I would also maybe think of journaling, to just get your feelings out. Find a friend that you can, a trusted friend who is for your marriage and for your family in-laws. Find that friend and vent. But don't vent destructively. Vent constructively and say, I just need to talk about it. Get it off my chest.
You guys are awesome. So we had 3 replies, one on Instagram and 2 on Facebook. So Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend.
Awesome.
Thank you, Natalie, Brittany, and Josh. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. So get the book Boundaries.
So I just like that idea. Like, I asked a question to our community, and 3 people answered in support of that. So
that's awesome.
Thank you guys. Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. Okay, I'm going to see if that's on audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. Get it free.
I didn't think you were
That was a good segue,
that
right?
was
Yes,
great.
it was. I'm seriously going to check that book out. So, okay, we don't have any more questions right now, but let's kind of do a state of AOM check-in really quickly.
Oh, no, I do have one more thing.
Okay.
So don't... Okay.
Never mind.
I do. Sorry, we can do a state of AOM or whatever that was in a minute.
Okay.
So I wanted to say really quickly, we've talked about the idea that we are working on an app for... Wait, hold on. Someone wrote about boundaries. Boundaries. When to say yes, how to say no, to take control of your life. Ooh.
That's right. That's good.
So I wanted to share about what we're doing with the app development stuff, because I am working with a guy who made the Ultimate Intimacy app. It's it's one of the most fun projects I've ever worked on in my life. And I wanted to get y'all's feedback on a couple things. And I want to try to do this regularly because you are who this app is for. So, and for us really too. So the questions that I have, and this is perfect, we are going to have a section in the app about in-law relationships because this app is for married couples who have to deal with lots of different things. What would you want in the category around in-laws and family? Does that make sense?
So what topics, what buttons to click on if you want more information?
What questions would you want answered? What buttons, what tools would you want to have available to you? What things would be helpful? And I want everybody to answer this, all walks of marriage, because think about if you're newly married or engaged and you have conflict with your future in-laws, you want to have resources on how to not get in fights with your mother-in-law or your whatever, right?
Okay, Robert says open forums, FAQs. Forums are great, like a Reddit thread or something like that.
That is something we're actually, I can't think of the name of what it's called, but Dan is working on that concept. So what other things can you think of as far as these communication boundaries, kids? Yep. So send in your ideas, email them, put them in the thread here. We just want as much feedback from everyone about what they would want, especially in relationship to in-laws. That's kind of what the module or the chapter in the app we're not struggling with, but we just want sort of more inspiration around. And I'm going to try to remember each day to ask an app-related question to get your feedback.
Conflict resolution. Yep.
Yeah, that's a whole chapter. That's an entire chapter.
Big time.
Let's see.
And out in-laws that are overly sensitive. My in-laws get jealous because we tend to spend more time with my parents. My parents are 5 minutes down the road. His parents an hour away. Yeah.
It says about in-laws.
Yeah. That just makes sense.
It is really hard.
Sometimes we go through the same thing, like having to travel back to South Carolina. That costs us about $4,000 every single time, and we're trying to navigate that right now. But I do have family loyalties, and my grandma is 93 and I want to spend time with her. So there's this financial pull, but me and Melanie have decided like that is a price to pay for living so far away, and we're okay with it. We know that we're going to spend a bunch of money to go there, and we have to just accept it, we go to Charleston and Greenville, South Carolina, and the, Appalachian Mountains, which are beautiful and stuff.
It's not a bad place.
No, it's not a bad place at all.
It's just
expensive and very time consuming.
I will say though, that's another one with the in-laws getting overly sensitive. Make the calendar the bad guy. Put it on the calendar. You could even have like an email thread if you think your in-laws could do that well. Not all in-laws could do that well.
Maybe.
But you could have like a Slack page, an email thread, a text thread where you say, hey, what dates work the best? And you try to just stick to that calendar as a method of maintaining the relationship well. I know it might seem silly. It might seem overly like it's just too much, but it might be the thing that really truly makes a difference in people feeling like they are getting enough time and it's not imbalanced and it's worth it. There's make sure you're commenting on
Facebook, friends. Your friend list can see your comments on the Facebook Live video. Yes, thank you for that, Christina, for suggestions in the app. Okay, so let's do a kind of a Facebook.
How can we move away?
How can you move away? I don't know. Save money and go for it. Sell your house.
In-laws with my children. When in-laws ask for money that you don't have to give. Yeah. This is a good one.
Sorry, I'm on IG. Don't think
just in case you don't want to hurt in-laws' feelings that way. Very good call.
We can see you, Miss Schmitz. Okay, so quick state of AOM stuff. So today we're going to try to work on. So we have a video series coming out, and it's a premarital video series that we've been working on it forever. We've been working on it forever. We shot it in an actual studio with lighting and cameras and everything, which was super fun. And it's a premarital series, but it will absolutely benefit newly marrieds and probably old marrieds too, because we talk about all kinds of stuff in there. So be looking for that. That's going to come out. That's actually going to be for sale. This is not going to be a free one because we spent a lot of time and money on it. And we have a couple other things coming up. I was thinking about doing some little meetups soon in towns that we're being. So maybe a meetup in Nashville in October. I'm going to be hopefully in London and Dubai in October. Maybe we could do a meetup there. I don't know how that would work, but that would be super cool. And then also I was like, duh, a Seattle meetup. Not anything fancy. Like, hey, let's meet at this bar. We'll have some drinks. We'll have some appetizers. 6 or 8 or 12 of us, and just hang out. If you're in the Seattle area, we'll be putting that out soon. I don't know why we wouldn't do that,
Yeah, we talked about it for a long time.
It's easy. It's the simplest thing ever. It's like, okay, no planning. We're going to be here this time to this time. Meet us there. Hang out. And if nobody shows up, we have a date night anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
There it is.
So it's a win-win situation. What else in AOM world is going on?
Well, I just want to talk about the premarital series again because it's very different from what's out there. So we have, I think, over 7 hours of a podcast with our friends Ryan and Krista, who got married last August. And we went through and just asked them all the premarital questions
we did
that we could think
premarital
of.
stuff with them.
Yeah, they were our premarital clients. So we sat down and interviewed them. So that's a whole podcast, 7+ hours. And then on top of that, we did a video series that correlates to the podcast episodes. So you can listen to Ryan and Krista talk about their life, their real issues, crying over wedding dress fittings, in-law drama, all of that stuff. So you can hear, and it's a complex, amazing story. There's
addiction, there's work schedules, there's in-law stuff, there's a lot
school,
of stuff.
like paying off debt, there's everything that you can think to deal with. They're dealing with death of friends, all of those things. These are real people, it's a real life, it's amazing. And then we did the video series, like I said, correlated to each episode or each sort of general topic, where we talk about the takeaways, and you can just watch those video series, and it's something like 11 videos, and then, like I said, 7+ hours of actual podcast episodes. And it's really going to be amazing. I'm really excited to share it. We have other projects that we're kind of back burnering and working on slowly. The app is a huge one I'm so excited for. So please send in any ideas for the app. Like anything that comes to mind, send it to hello@anatomyofmarriage.com or DM us or whatever. It's really, really robust, the app we're working on, and I'm absolutely in love.
I think it's going to help a lot of people. And just yesterday, we got maybe two, three or four emails, and one email that really stood out to me was like, your show has changed our marriage. And it was like, oh my goodness, that is awesome. And people have said that before, and that is so cool. And to be able to be part of a community, which you guys are a part of just as much as we are a part of, we are changing individuals, we're changing couples, and we're changing family of origins.
And we're changing ourselves.
Right? And I believe very strongly, as a therapist and just human person, we have to change first on an individual level, and then that flows out. For some reason, I just thought of the Bible verse, from the heart outflows other stuff.
Yeah, that's totally
that one.
John chapter 9.
That's in Seth chapter 1. Anyway.
From the heart flows things out.
Right, but it's so true. So as we change as individuals, as we have growth mindsets and do this work and blah, 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 all this stuff, our family of origin changes. And I said something at the very first AOM conference in Chicago. We, married people with, well, maybe non-married people, I don't know, people with kids are creating their kids' family of origin, right? Like right now, you guys are helping your kids' family of origin.
One day you'll be the mother-in-law that your kids are complaining about.
That's right. So
do it right.
Give your future kids and future kid's spouse a good mother-in-law, a good father-in-law.
Healthy boundaries.
Open.
Start your own boundaries now.
This is so great.
It is so great. I also do want to say this is one of the reasons we sold our house. I know that sounds silly, but we're chasing a much bigger dream for us and for Anatomy of Marriage, for Anatomy of Family down the line, for the app to be developed. We didn't have enough time living where we lived, and so this is one of the ways that we are being exceptionally intentional about what we're doing.
Lunchables,
snackables, snack plackers.
That's right. We sold our house for you, so I hope you're glad. No, just kidding. And so we got to wrap this up. We're at 28 minutes. So, okay, two calls to action. Go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get the book Boundaries by Dr. Henry.
If it's an audiobook, we don't know.
I'm not sure. Probably is, because it's a very popular book. audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage. I'll give you a little secret. You get a free audiobook and that helps us out financially. It's not like $1 zillion or anything like that, but
it's more than $0.
It's more than $0. So if you like what we do, go there because it does support us in a good way.
So you get something for nothing and we get something for something.
Right. So okay,
that.
One more tag and we're out of here.
Oh, please go to iTunes and rate and review the podcast. That is one of the best things that you can do for us. It helps people find the show to know if it's worth listening to. And it just honestly makes us feel really good. It's a way to engage that is awesome. So please do that. And I want to get to 700 reviews.
Yeah.
I'm like at 6 something. I want 700.
Step it up there, people.
I'm greedy.
So hold on. Robert says, got mine, the borderline mother. So if that is what I'm thinking about, then that is intense. Borderline personality disorder, BPD. I have clients. Oh.
Don't even worry about it. Someone says you guys are awesome. Miss
You guys are awesome. Thank you for all you do.
Miss Amy Jade. Oh my
You're
gosh,
awesome.
I could not read that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Okay, guys. We love you. Happy Tuesday. Do what we said and be awesome.
Have an amazing day. I'm glad you got that book.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Awesome.
Later.
Bye.
Sorry if that was too direct. I feel you, Robert. Oh, yeah. So if I come across any resources on borderline personality disorder, then I will send them your way. I have a couple clients who are that, and it's hard. So
Is that an end of a sentence?
yes. All right, guys.
Oh,
bye.
Gosh. Bye.